So today I'm going to be talking about attendance in college. So my three main points today I will be covering are first of all, paying for college or tuition, I guess you could say. Participation is the second, and third is going to be the grading of attendance. So paying for college. College students pay to attend college. This is the key factor and the reasons why students should have a say in, their attendance for class. If we're paying for college, I think we should be able to decide whether or not we want to miss a class or not. College students' tuition is what pays for university is the primary source of income for the college's part. We pay for our classes, so why should we be told to do with the money we spend? And so this is a chart, and this is just kind of like gives you a brief estimation of like where our money goes. So instruction is like teachers, our instructors. Research is the next biggest. Hospital services like UNMH is another prime example. Then you can just kind of see where else our money goes to, and we are the primary like sources of opinions and where we say our money goes, and this is what we decide as students where it should go. Participation. So instructors can use participation as a way, to track attendance if they need it. Giving weekly quizzes, discussion boards, and or other forms of testing as students' knowledge of material in class can mark where the student is at with their attendance. Because our students in class every day, they're obviously going to know the material during the weekly quizzes. If they're not there every time, you're obviously going to see it. Professor Kelly Marshall teaches media and film classes at DePaul University and does not implement a mandatory attendance policy. Instead, she gives her students the opportunity to earn participation points, via weekly quizzes or discussion questions. So since most students want to earn their participation points, they generally come to class even though attendance is not mandatory, Marshall said. This policy works well for Marshall and saves her a lot of time and hassle. It's beneficial to me because I don't have to worry about marking who's there, who's not, who's late, who leaves early. She said additionally, I don't have to haggle with students over any grades associated with excused or unexcused absences. So even some instructors, do believe that marking attendance, is an inconvenience to them as well. It's just another thing they have to keep marking on top of like our grades, speeches, so on and so forth. So grading attendance. Jonathan Golding is a psychology professor, and he conducted an experiment on attendance in his bigger lecture halls. So after he had done his experiment, this was like the outcome of what he saw. So the policy effectively increased the class attendance. Research across the board confirms that attendance policies administered in a variety of different ways do get students coming to class. In Golding's case, the implementation of this policy did not affect his course evaluations, and strong correlation existed between attendance and performance on exams. The more students came to class, the better they performed on exams. Jonathan Golding. So from Golding's experiment, it proves that attendance can, have, a positive correlation with your grade in class. That's true. But the stress instructors can put on attendance and how much attendance can affect your grade is, just as, is like the negative side of the correlation between your grade. So I interviewed a student. I interviewed a student who was not on scholarship and a student who was on scholarship, and this is what they said to me. So Kristen, a UNM student who is not on scholarship, I have a mix of classes that I'm not expected to show up to class to every day, but I also have classes that are strict and demand that I'm there every day, and if I miss more than 3 days, I will be dropped. I've missed all 3 of those classes due to illness, but my professor requires a doctor's note in order to excuse the absence. However, the student health and counseling or the SHAC does not accept my insurance, and I cannot get a doctor's note if I miss one more class, even though I have a passing grade and I will be dropped, and have lost $300. So not only is it kind of a matter of money to some students, but it's a big importance. It kind of affects it goes back to the whole thing about paying for your schooling and then like being told that you need to come to class every day, and then like the whole thing about missing 3 classes or And so and this student did want to be mentioned. So this is an anonymous student on scholarship money. This was, their opinion about the attendance policy. So my view on the attendance policy is that you are doing certain activities, you should be required to attend class. But if it is a big deal, if it's a big lecture hall with over 100 students, it should not be required. I believe that classes like labs, you should be accounted for that attendance. But if it's a class and posts notes every day, then I don't see the problem with missing a class or two. My stats, my stats class takes attendance in order to help our grade at the end, but if we don't show up every day, it's not guaranteed that we will get the grade boost, and if we miss 3 or more classes, that get dropped. So the strictness of the grading attendance is another part of stress that we as college students have to deal with. We not only do we have to worry about getting a good grade, but we also have to worry about showing up to class every day and you know. So we can see how the attendance can improve and demolish our grades, with 1 or 2 absences. So I guess you could say the cycle works like this. All 3 of my main points have a role within each other. Paying for classes goes towards, your participation that you may be or may be not a part of, and then it also affects the grade you receive. Attendance should not be a factor that college students, should be monitored on or babied on, I guess you could say. College students are adults, and we pay for the classes we take. The choice, to miss a class is our own, and the consequences, whether they are positive or negative, is our responsibility.